Ladies and gents, let's talk about placeholders real quick because I feel like not enough of us are aware in our season of placeholderdom. I made that word up. Okay. So, what do I mean by placeholder? There are a lot of relationships, careers, activities, hobbies, things that we do in place of pursuing purpose. And so it's so easy to become a placeholder, right? I'll give you an example of this. You have a man who he knows what his purpose is, but he's afraid of said purpose. You get what I'm saying? And so he'll find things to distract himself. So maybe he'll get in this relationship. He'll start a family even. You know what I'm saying? He'll start a career, right? Like he'll pursue a hobby or, I don't know, have situationships. They're just these little placeholders. And he's distracting himself from purpose. And it's not just men who do this. Women do this as well. And so we don't even realize that we're placeholders. Like, for real. We don't even realize that. Yeah. So it isn't until, and I've said this before, like if he never actually sits down and pursues his purpose, or vice versa, if she never sits down and truly pursues purpose, everything that comes into their life will be a placeholder. Okay? And the only thing, well, I won't say the only thing, but one thing that comes with that is resentment, right? Like, people will start to feel a certain way towards you, simply because they are not pursuing purpose. You get what I'm saying? They will start to feel a certain way towards you. They will start to resent you because they're not happy doing what God called them to do. There's a void that comes with not pursuing purpose. It's really hard to feel that. That's why, like I said, there's so many things that will become placeholders. They may start off with a relationship, and next thing you know, now they got kids with this person. They done built a life with this person. You know what I'm saying? They started some little hobby. Now they're spending a lot of time with that hobby. They may even start a career from that hobby or business from that hobby. Whole time it ain't nothing that God called them to do. You feel me? And so, the other day we were talking about confronting the truth and how that will unravel the lie that you built your life on. And so you have a lot of people who will not confront the truth. And again, what that looks like is a life full of placeholders. And eventually that person will start to resent those things for not being fulfilling. Okay? Because they're not able to truly fulfill you. This is why it is so important for us to pursue purpose. Like, you're never going to fill that void, babe, doing anything else. Don't get me wrong. You might have the money. You might have a lifestyle. You might have all those things. You might have the family. You might have the house. You might have the car. You might have all those things. But you still have a void that none of those things can fulfill. And then what is that? That's like literally an empty life, if you ask me. You just filled it with things, you know what I'm saying? People, placeholders. And so, yeah, I believe that that's how important and how powerful purpose is. Pursue that. You know what I'm saying? Pursue your purpose, babe. Everything else is going to fall into place, right? Because if not, then you're just stuck with a lot of placeholders. And it's hard to get rid of those placeholders because then you start you start building these timelines that are connected to said placeholder. And that's not easy just to overlook or to detach yourself from, It's like, yeah. It's rough out here. When it was, me, right? Like, I built a life on placeholders, you know what I'm saying? So I got married, or I had children even before I got married, but and I've spoken about this before, but it wasn't until I started wanting to pursue purpose that my life started to unravel. Because while I'm telling, my ex, I want to do this thing, I feel this draw, this pull towards this thing, he was so against that. So you could easily say, right, while he and I were dealing with one another, I just always wanted more. There was more. When I was on the job, I always wanted more. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't content with just going to work and, 9 to 5. I wasn't content with that. I always wanted more. It was just this constant state of wanting more, desiring more. Even if I had all the things that, for one, would make them content, I was not content. I still wanted more. And it didn't equate to me wanting more things. It was me wanting more purpose. Yep. But I do want to give you guys a few indicators or ways to know if you're a placeholder. Okay. I've seen this with my own eyes, and I'm also speaking from experience as well. Like, knowing that I had placeholders in my life, and then being on the opposite side, seeing someone else live their life with placeholders. So one way to know that you're a placeholder is if that person that you're dealing with is never content with you. Like, not saying we don't aspire and we don't have ambition, you know what I'm saying? But like, that person is never content. There's always this desire or this need for more where you're concerned. More than likely, you're a placeholder. Another way to know if you're a placeholder is when we were talking about not being content. The person that you're with, they always nitpick at you. You get what I'm saying? Like, they don't like this about you, or this could be better. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong, again, with being ambitious and wanting to be better, to self-improve, character development, personal development. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, when you are constantly being nagged at, picked at, there's nothing that you can do for this person that will ever be good enough, because you're a placeholder. You get what I'm saying? Like, and hear me when I say this, because this may be controversial, and this may even be an unpopular opinion. When you are dealing with someone who's in their purpose, okay, I'm not saying you don't have to do anything. I'm saying that you don't have to. They won't require you to be anyone else other than yourself. Why? Because they're already content with life. So having you in their life is just an addition. You get what I'm saying? Not being funny. It's like an accessory. You feel me? But when people are relying upon you for their happiness, that's when they start to nitpick at you, because their happiness is so reliant upon you. When you are in purpose, there's this sense of contentment, which again, you can see it as happiness, right? That you receive, even if life is high, life is low. You are operating in purpose, and God will continuously sustain you in said purpose. And that is where contentment comes into play. You get what I mean? Happiness can be very subjective because it can be based off what's happening. But when you are content, you learn to be content with whatever, with lack, abundance, whatever. And even that turns into a form of happiness, right? So that person isn't looking to you for you to make them happy. You don't have to go out of your way to be anything other than who you are. You're simply an addition to their life. You feel me? You're adding to their life. So you'll know that you're a placeholder when it doesn't quite look like that. When they're nagging you, they're trying to make you this perfect image of a thing, because it's easier for them to project and turn their attention outward versus inward, and to introspect about what they need to do in their life and how they need to get closer to purpose. And that's also getting closer to God. So, yep. Are you a placeholder? Ooh. Okay.